Is A'ja Wilson currently the best player in the WNBA? Yes. Is Caitlin Clark currently the face of the WNBA? Yes. Do I think if A'ja Wilson dropped a shoe and Caitlin Clark dropped a shoe today at the very same time, that Caitlin Clark would outsell A'ja's shoe by 100 times? Yes, I think that would be the case. And I'm sorry to break that news to everybody, whether it's fair, whether it's whatever, that's just the truth. We saw
AA. Wilson becomes more irritated than ever when fresh evidence of Caitlin Clark's commercial supremacy surfaces, casting Wilson's MVP award in a somewhat hollow light.
Going into this season, we will not see that again. She came off of playing in a national championship game that had over 20 million people tuned into that game, then going straight into the draft, and then going straight into the WNBA and breaking an insane amount of records in her rookie season.
And what is the issue at hand? How have these celebrities been put in embarrassing circumstances by Nike's perplexing marketing decisions?
Love so much and I want things to be perfect, and that's not how life is. Ooh, someone I met in my industry that
We'll dissect the facts, the drama, and the reasons why this circumstance has the potential to permanently alter our perception of the WNBA today.
Clark was trying to redirect a pass. Clark, oh my! From Schenectady! Clark wheels around, evades Van Lith, and drains it! My goodness!
If you've ever witnessed Caitlin Clark in action, you know that she is a walking cash cow when it comes to merchandise. She's selling more units than Michael Jackson at his peak, and we're not joking when we say that her jerseys are almost melting off the racks at an NBA All-Star weekend. Music. Fans of all ages are supporting Clark like she's the next big thing in basketball, which, let's face it, she already is, and her name is at the top of the WNBA shirt sales. The current MVP, A'ja Wilson, who is arguably one of the most dominant players in league history, is ranked 5th, but guess who's ahead of her? In the second half of the season, Kate Martin was a player who was benched more often than she played.
Just the truth. We saw the jersey sales numbers. We didn't actually see the actual numbers, but we saw the top jersey sales in the WNBA this season. And A'ja, despite being a third-time MVP, her jersey sales were 5th in the league, even after Kate Martin, who barely saw the court the second half of this season.
It's terrible not just for Wilson, but also for the league and, to be honest, Nike. How can a player like Wilson with MVP stats still have jersey sales surpass those of a player who hardly plays? But back to Clark, she's killing it. She has the swagger of a player who knows she's the future. It's as if she just decided to combine Larry Bird's self-assurance with Klay Thompson's shooting prowess one day. Her highlights are TikTok gold, her plays are ESP in the top 10 stuff, and her vibes are obvious. I'm here to take over the most enjoyable aspect. When you finally find Caitlin Clark's jersey at the store, some weird kid runs past you like he's Giannis on a fast break and snatches it first. That's the kind of demand we're talking about here. Clark stuff doesn't just sell out. If you enjoy this video, please like it and click the bell icon to subscribe.
Sport doesn't always equate to how many shoes you will sell. A prime example of this when it comes to the NBA is Allen Iverson. There are so many people who wouldn't even put Allen Iverson on their top 10 list of greatest players of all time. However, Allen Iverson moved the needle in so many ways when it came to culture, when it came to fashion, when it came to his style of play. He was such an exciting and likable player.
Wilson's merchandise, on the other hand, is there, ready, and just gathering dust. This isn't a criticism on her. Rather, it's a criticism of Nike and the NBA for failing to see commercial gold. Although Wilson is on par with LeBron and KD in terms of skill, she is clearly not as good at marketing as Caitlin Clark, who is receiving the free duffel bag and socks treatment while Clark is essentially about to become the first WNBA player to have her face on a cereal box, which is why she is furious.
Pride in her faith, the faith that she carries no matter what, the unwavering faith that she has in what her God will do for her and what she feels her God will do for others.
This narrative is about what happens when one star has the spotlight and the other receives the shadow. It's not just a Caitlin Clark story.
Nelson Adota trying to save it and does. And now Clark comes up with a steal. Clark thought about pulling up from three. Will tip.
Additionally, given how Clark's items are selling, she might as well start autographing basketballs during halftime and selling them on eBay for twice as much, so that fans would still purchase them. Applause. Wilson's MVP victory this season was well-earned. She is a formidable player on the court with truly amazing stats, but when spectators see her trophy, they realize that Caitlin Clark's commercial success is surpassing her.
I personally don't understand how a brand like Nike, who has had athletes like Serena Williams, like LeBron James, like Michael Jordan, who branched off and made his own brand in itself, who has Wemby, who, by the way, they signed Wemby for an over $100 million contract, which this is
to consider it. How come the MVP of the league doesn't even rank among the top 3 shirt sellers? How come her name seems so insignificant next to Clark's in news, social media, and, let's be honest, shoe discussions? The WNBA and its sponsors cannot afford to overlook this imbalance, even though Wilson's prize is genuine, but is beginning to feel like a consolation win in the eyes of fans. The WNBA has changed its strategy to feature Caitlin Clark and Caitlin Clark alone at the front of the cover for the upcoming season, but there are some deals that Caitlin Clark should have previously taken advantage of.
absolutely no shade to Wemby. I love Wemby. He is a up-and-coming superstar, and there was so much hype for him coming into the league. However, I will say that Caitlin Clark has created more buzz around the basketball landscape and has actually transformed and revived a league that was the WNBA, and she is getting paid a measly $28 million for 8 years as opposed to Wemby's 100. I believe that Caitlin Clark, if they would have released a signature shoe for her this season, they would have made a kill.
Let's discuss the $16 million agreement. In hindsight, Caitlin Clark turned down a deal with Under Armour that would have been among the largest in basketball business history. The company wasn't just giving her money, they were giving her a throne. They literally wanted to make her the Iron Lady of their women's line, and if that doesn't scream iconic branding, then what does? Caitlin Clark is releasing personalized sneakers under the Curry Flow line from Under Armour. The marketing banner speaks for itself. She already has the range, flair, and clutch factor, so they could have filmed commercials with Clark in the Curry kitchen cooking up threes like a Michelin-starred chef. Pair her with Steph Curry in a campaign about redefining basketball greatness, and presto, you have a cultural moment that is comparable to Mike with music. Jordan and the timeline Under Armour weren't messing around. They understood Clark had the potential to be the face of women's basketball and were prepared to make it happen. They weren't waiting or hesitating to give Clark the red carpet right away. Compare that to Nike. Sure, an 8-year, $28 million agreement sounds glitzy, but what good is it if the firm isn't leveraging her celebrity power? For years, $16 million, plus a ton of creative freedom, is the kind of arrangement you only see in films about sports prodigies. Even though they are sitting on a gold mine, Nike chose to wait until 20126 to offer her a trademark shoe after fumbling the bag more than J.R. Smith in Game 1 of the 2018 NBA Finals.
Because she's been so sick before that UCLA game. That's how sick she was. Clark! She's possessed!
Here comes Clark. How will she go for history?
Here's the thing. Clark might have been spearheading Under Armour into a new age of basketball dominance at that point. The Under Armour approach makes sense. By positioning Clark as their female counterpart, they would have created a dynasty-like appeal. Steph Curry is not simply their most famous player, he is also their brand, and his name is linked to innovation and success. With a backboard-shattering celebration, it's not simply a win when two players redefine the game for their respective leagues under one brand.
Caitlin Clark has been making people pay since her freshman year in Iowa City.
Clark, there she goes again. Yes!
You have to guard Caitlin Clark even before she crosses half court. What's that, about 26 feet? When she's going to her left and in rhythm, she's going to drain it. 100% of those donations goes to research, and there's Caitlin Clark.
It's easy to picture Clark sneakers flying off the shelves, controlling the young market, and even appending Nike's hold on basketball culture. Under Armour's pitch wasn't just about money. They viewed her as the link between the game of today and the future. Let's talk about the numbers. The potential crossover appeal was enormous. Let's face it, Nike is hesitant to develop a customized shoe for Clark because they are afraid of upsetting A'ja Wilson's camp. It's clear that Caitlin Clark is outselling everyone, shattering viewing records, and creating hype like a one-woman show. Movement in sports. Music. Under Armour would have gone with Clark's momentum like Usain Bolt pursuing a world record if they had taken the lead instead of blinking at Wilson's plaudits.
Consider it this way.
Conversely, Under Armour's arrangement was similar to giving Clark the keys to a private jet and telling her to take off whenever she's ready, but Nike's deal was similar to offering Clark a first-class ticket, but requiring her to wait 3 years in the lounge before boarding. Additionally, Under Armour coincided with women's sports receiving previously unheard-of levels of attention in society. Clark might have served as the impetus behind their upcoming major marketing campaign. When you combine her likeness to Curry's game with her style of play, which combines flashy plays, long threes, and sheer swagger, you have a narrative that appeals to fans of all ages and genders. Marshall Clark is coming. How will she make history? Applause. Music. In hindsight, the all-time top scorer in women's college basketball is 2020, but Under Armour obviously saw the opportunity and understood the importance of acting fast in the world of sports endorsements. Had Clark accepted that deal, we might be discussing her as the next big thing in basketball fashion, competing with Curry for the top spot among all genders in sneaker sales. Conversely, Nike appears to be entrenched in their ways, playing it safe when significant advances are needed. Their reluctance to fully embrace Clark is not only a lost chance, but also a clear illustration of how to handle a generational divide. Talent so, did Caitlin Clark lose out by choosing Nike instead of Under Armour? Perhaps, but if she had chosen UA, she would have been leading the game one sneaker drop at a time and wouldn't have to wait until 2026 to see her name on a shoe.
She's a beast. Clark from the logo. She gets it out of that left hand, and it's money. She's open now. Caitlin Clark. Clark. Puts down the deep throw with Steph Curry like range out there.
Here's Clark.
The figures are honest. Clark is the face of the WNBA, both domestically and internationally. Her play style, which includes limitless range, high IQ passes, and pure swagger, has fans captivated. She is the type of player who draws in casual fans, which is crucial for a league looking to expand its viewership. Even though Wilson is amazing, she has the same strong pull. Her dominance is clear, but it doesn't translate into the kind of buzz that Clark generates. At the moment, fans gravitate towards celebrities who make the game seem exciting, novel, and enjoyable, and Clark is the best at achieving that.
A deep one. You bet! Caitlin Clark! Absolutely ridiculous.
That was a big one. Clark, can she answer? Of course.
Look at Clark. Yes!
Clark hits the three. Too much space. Nearly 10 million people watching. Maybe we can break that 10 this year.
This is a WNBA issue, not just a Nike one. The league ought to be recognizing Wilson and Clark as its top stars, but instead they are mired in a business limbo that is detrimental to both parties. Can you imagine if the WNBA fully embraced Clark's fame by providing her with the ads, campaigns, and yes, the signature shoe she so richly deserves? Would Wilson feel overshadowed? Perhaps, but isn't it preferable to both stars losing out? The WNBA needs to take a more comprehensive approach, as they are currently allowing a fantastic opportunity to pass them by without realizing the dangers. Consider the NBA, where Nike gave LeBron James a signature shoe as soon as he joined the league because they knew his star power would elevate the sport as a whole. Similarly, Steph Curry with Under Armour didn't need MVP awards to sell shoes. His fame was enough to create a multi-billion-dollar company. Waiting until 2026 to give Caitlin Clark a signature shoe is like waiting until after Curry's third championship to begin selling his sneakers. It's a missed opportunity. Caitlin Clark is in the same marketability class. Wilson, meanwhile, merits better, so why hasn't Nike invested more on building her the Shaq to Clark's Kobe? Fans are noticing the discrepancy and are upset at Clark's lack of MVP status when she is genuinely concerned about the league. While Nike is making Oz seem the WNBA doesn't need this type of drama, petty. The league is already competing for fans' attention in a congested sports market. The last thing it needs is for them to believe that their favorite players are being pitted against one another due to poor marketing decisions. Music. Thus, Nike must move quickly to give Wilson the recognition she deserves and acknowledge Clark's once-in-a-generation appeal. This isn't a choice-or-lose situation for the WNBA. The message is clear. Invest in your stars and don't allow corporate politics stand in the way of progress. If you like this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Clark is the doorway to a new fan base. If you sleep, you lose. Stay tuned for future developments.
Wow.